What's going on, everybody? On YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com. Coming back to you with another video. And in this video, I want to talk about my friend, because one of my really good, close friends is thinking about quitting eBay. And the reason why he's quitting about thinking eBay could have been avoided, could have easily been avoided. I warned him about this over a year and a half ago when he started to somewhat get serious about selling on eBay. And this is something very important to talk about right now. What's going on, Melissa? Hey, everybody. This is very important to talk about right now because there's a lot of people who I'm sure are watching this channel and watching this video right now who are kind of tinkering on the line of eBay's a hobby versus crossing over to something serious. And the problem is, if you don't take care of these couple things I'm going to talk about, you're going to get to a point where you're going to think about quitting selling on eBay because of this. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I'm talking about in one moment. But I want to shout some people out right now. We got KP in the house. We got Dorel Vlog saying good afternoon. What's going on? Where's everybody from right now? I'm actually in the parking lot of LA Fitness in Connecticut right now. Here's my little tripod. But this is so important, guys. I'm going to jump right into it. I'm not going to leave you hanging too much longer. When you first start selling on eBay, your main concern is just buying stuff cheap that's valuable, listing it, selling it, shipping it, and creating a good customer service and getting paid. That's your main objective. You might even start to sell some of your family members or friends' items and sell it. And you're not really concerned with things like bookkeeping or taxes. But keep in mind, if you don't know, if you're just getting started selling on eBay, when you sell something on eBay, the funds go through PayPal as of the time of this recording. Things are going to be changing, but at the time of this recording, your funds are typically going through PayPal. That's your payment processor. If you sell $20,000 worth of products and 200 transactions, so if you meet both that criteria, you're going to get something called a 1099. Essentially what that is a recording of your income. So, the IRS is going to know that you made that income. So when it comes to tax season, you're going to have to claim that income, and then you're going to have to prove your expenses. So if you have a 1099 that says $20,000, that's pretty much all income and profit unless you could prove it. So the reason why my friend is thinking about quitting selling on eBay, with it being close to the tax deadline of April 15th or April 20th. I don't know what the official date is now that the deadline is, but it's tax season. Everybody's filing, getting things done. He is going through an absolute nightmare trying to deal with his bookkeeping because this was his first year. He got hit with a 1099. He wasn't tracking any of his cost of goods. He didn't have a credit card set aside for only buying. He didn't have a bank account set aside only for business. He wasn't tracking his office supplies. He wasn't tracking his equipment. He didn't have anything like GoDaddy bookkeeping or there's a bunch of different softwares out there, which I'll talk about, pulling in his income, his expenses, his PayPal fees, his eBay fees, so on and so forth. And now he went and sat down with a accountant. Actually, he went to someone at H&R Block, and which I really wouldn't advise, especially when you're dealing with a complicated inventory-based business, such as buying and selling. Now he's dealing with 250 pages of nonsense, which he's trying to filter out. He doesn't have any of his information, and now he's quitting. He's thinking about quitting selling on eBay because he feels like he's in such a big mess. And I know exactly what that feeling is like. I remember 4 or 5 years ago. What's going on, Brandon? When, at the time I was working with my father, who's a CPA. I no longer work with him. I ended up hiring somebody else just because I love my father, but kind of wanted to split off business and personal. But that's another story. But I remember being in the same position as my friend where I was so overwhelmed, and my father at the time, who was my CPA, was getting upset with me because I was all unorganized. I didn't understand the differences between, categorizing expenses and write-offs and all the information I had to have, and it was just a huge mess. So the lesson here is, if you're starting selling on eBay, focus on building a foundation. One of the best softwares that you can get for only $100, even if you're just getting started, right? get yourself GoDaddy Bookkeeping. It's $100 per year, and what GoDaddy Bookkeeping is a bookkeeping software. You can essentially link it up to your eBay, link it up to your PayPal, link it up to your bank account, link it up to your credit card, and then you can tag your various transactions. So for example, when you buy something on a credit card, if you buy it from Goodwill or Savers, you can automatically tag it and make it a passive activity, whereas when you buy something, it'll get tagged as cost of goods. When a PayPal expense goes through, it'll be categorized as a PayPal shipping or as a PayPal income or an eBay fee. And then if something comes through that's foreign, you could go through at the end of the month and you could tag it as office supplies, or you could tag it as travel, you can tag it as meals and entertainment. When it comes to tax season, the foundation of understanding your tax liability is bookkeeping, and various expenses are going to be treated differently, right? I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to sit here and give you expert advice, but I know what I'm talking about because I've lived the life. But again, I'm not qualified to tell you what to do, but not each expense is going to be treated equally, right? You can't write off this expense and that expense equally, right? For example, like a big piece of equipment might be depreciated over time, whereas you can fully write off, a travel, a hotel experience, something along those lines. So Fat Elvis is saying, what is the best software to use as you list items on multiple channels? I'm not sure if you're asking about like a third-party software or whatnot, but if you're talking about accounting and bookkeeping and for tax purposes, I would use GoDaddy Bookkeeping right now if you're new. How much do you have to earn before you consider it a business? Well, I'm not exactly sure if you mean, do I have to claim my income if I hit a certain amount? Really, that's up to you, but you're supposed to claim your income regardless if it's 500 or 500,000. But the IRS won't technically know that you made the income unless a 1099 was given, right, or handed out. And in this case, it would be PayPal. But again, if you had gotten audited, then obviously they would be going into your accounts and whatnot, and they would see the transactions coming through, and then I'm sure that you'd be liable for that. But again, talk to your CPA, talk to a bookkeeper. But yeah, that's kind of like the main premise of the story is, even though you're just getting started on eBay and you're new and maybe you only sold a couple $1,000s, things can happen really fast in this business. Like I remember when I was just making a couple thousand and then it was like 25,000 the next year and then it was like 70,000. Like things move quick. You might be in the position where you're like, you know what? I don't know if I can actually make eBay a business. You absolutely can if you put in the work and you grind it out and you spend your time sourcing, spend your time listing, you set up systems, you get your photography area set up, your workspace set up. If you put in the work, you can absolutely make this happen. And you don't want to be in the position my friend is in where you're scurrying last second to try to get your books in line, right? Because a couple things are going to happen. One, you might pay way little in taxes and then get audited down the road, and then you're liable for all this money. Or if your bookkeeping is not in line, you might actually pay more taxes than you actually should have, and that's the worst thing possible, right? So set up a nice strong foundation at first. Make sure that you're tracking your income, make sure that you're tracking your expenses. Get yourself a software online. I'd recommend GoDaddy Bookkeeping, $100 a year. Spend the time up front to tag all your income and your expenses. Get yourself a credit card. It doesn't have to be a business credit card. Get yourself a bank account. It doesn't have to be a bank account, but with the credit card that you get, maybe you have 3 credit cards. Maybe you have 1 credit card that's only for personal. Maybe you have 1 credit card that's only for your real estate property. I'm just kind of sharing my experience. And then have 1 credit card that's only for your eBay and Amazon business, because then you're separating everything and it makes it so much easier to prove things and also to identify what's going on in your business in terms of expenses. Also with your bank account, make sure that you have a bank account that's only for your personal and only for your business. Again, you don't have to go out and register an LLC and get yourself an EIN and create a business banking. What we're really trying to do here is just separate things and make it easier to identify what's going on in your business. Now, down the road, you could obviously get yourself an LLC, or, you know, in my situation, I'm actually an LLC being treated as an S corporation, which is a little more advanced for this video. But these are really strong foundational things that you want to make sure that you're doing when you first get started. KP is saying pay off credit card every month to avoid interest. Absolutely. You know, if you've got the money, definitely, you know, pay off your credit cards each and every month, because then you can run up a big bill and then pay it off and you're not charged any interest. So don't be like my friend. Again, I'm not putting him down if he's watching this video. I love you, brother. I've been there. I've done that. I've pissed off my father to an extent that I can't even explain, just because when I was first getting started and he was my CPA, I just didn't understand these things. And, you know, it's one of those things, you know, it's crazy. I was talking to a friend the other day, and, you know, it's actually the friend I'm talking about. And he's like, man, like when I went to school, they never taught us any of this stuff. They never taught me about all these financing and bookkeeping. And, you know, there might've been a class here or there that was like optional. And he's like, man, like I'm thrown into the real world and I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And I said, it's true. You know, the school systems aren't necessarily trying to raise people who understand their finances and how to manage money and deal with all these different things. Again, there might be a class here or there, but that doesn't give you the reason not to have the knowledge, because in 2019, the knowledge and the how to do whatever you want to do is right at our fingertips. It's on YouTube, it's on Google. Anything that you want to learn is learnable, but you have to take the time to learn how to do it. That's pretty much it. And that's why I love YouTube so much. That's why I love making these videos, because, you know, I could share my little bit of expertise that I have and maybe help a couple people here and there. And when I need help, I could go on there and I could extract information as well. So that's what I got for you guys today. If you have any tips for my friend in terms of how he should deal with this situation, my advice to him is do the best you can. If you have to file for an extension, you have to file for an extension, but don't fall into the trap of not paying your taxes. I have another friend of mine who hasn't paid taxes, I think, in 4 or 5 years. He just keeps pushing it down the road, and I think that's because he fell into the same trap. And once you get a couple years behind and, you know, you're selling all these items on eBay and Amazon and the transactions just adding up, you get overwhelmed, and you just dig a hole that's so deep you don't know how to get out of it. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what's going to happen to my friend, my other friend who's like 4 or 5 years behind. I don't know, you know, but I wish the best for him. And if you're in that situation, you know, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. What's the best way to dig yourself out of a 50-foot ditch? I don't know. Start taking a step out one by one, shoveling your way out one by one. I know it's got to be tough, but that's it. This is some of the things the negative things that could happen to you as an eBay seller or as an Amazon seller or anyone in e-commerce. You got to make sure there's no excuse for saying, well, I never learned it. I never knew I had to do this. Like the tax law is so complicated. How am I supposed to know bookkeeping, this and that? That's the life we live, you know, and when you grow up, you get thrown into the mix, and there's certain things that you've got to do, and there's certain things that you're expected to know. And you can't plead ignorance when it comes to taxes and stuff like that. It's just, no one's gonna care. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Great to see you, Aaron. Appreciate you. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a big favor and smash that like button. Would appreciate that. I think more people need to see this video, especially the newbies and the people who are just getting started. What's going on, Eric? How are you doing? Today you have to do your homework. Google peeps, YouTube, exactly, the one niche. You've got to do your homework. That's why these YouTube videos are so priceless. Not just my channel, but all of them. All the people, you guys, everyone leaving comments, you know, you're not alone. That's the great thing about, you know, this community. You're not alone, and anything that you're stuck or anything that's challenging you or anything that's holding you back, there's someone out there who can help you out or give you that little one piece of information, right? This video obviously isn't gonna, if you're like in my friend's position and you're like pretty much screwed right now, this video is not gonna change your life, but you might have been able to take 1 or 2 things from it to get to the next step, right? Desmond Little, where do I go to learn taxes? The best advice I would give you is to talk to a accountant or a CPA. Obviously, you can go on YouTube and stuff and you could learn about basic bookkeeping and basic taxes, but I can never give you tax advice. Even if I was a CPA, like even CPAs who come on YouTube, you can't just give a cookie cutter answer because each person's different based on their income, where they live, the marital status, all these different things, right, play a factor into it. But there's basic foundational things that you need to learn. So I would go on YouTube for the basics, and then I would talk to an accountant or a CPA to really identify some of the specifics based on you as an individual. Eric's not selling on eBay because of PayPal. We'll be calling eBay tonight to get their new system. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people having trouble with PayPal lately. Have you tried to use any other bookkeeping apps? Well, right now I don't use, what the heck do I use now? I have a bookkeeping company that I use. It's $300 a month. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody. I know that's probably expensive for some of the new people, but I run multiple businesses, and what do they use? What's like the most popular bookkeeping software that people use? Not GoDaddy Bookkeeping. Maybe somebody could help me out. But again, I have a bookkeeping company that does everything for me. They file my sales tax. They work with my CPA. We work hand in hand. Yes, it's QuickBooks. That's what we use, QuickBooks. So it's essentially, QuickBooks is very similar to GoDaddy Bookkeeping. It's just way more sophisticated, but it's got the basic principles where things are getting tagged. So you've got income coming in, you have expenses going out. Everything has to be tagged and categorized, and that's pretty much it. So once you get to that point, you could hire a bookkeeping company. I could have hired one for much cheaper, but they do a lot of things for me. Yes, absolutely. I have a Shopify store myself. Fat Elvis Goods, QuickBooks, yep. Desmond, that's awesome. So guys, I got to get going right now. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Please share this video with someone who you believe can benefit from it. I've got to go into the gym right now and get in a workout. I want to hit garage sales so bad, but it's so rainy out. It's cloudy and rainy, and there's just not a ton of them. So maybe next weekend. I'm hoping this year doesn't follow suit with last year, where garage sales, they stunk so bad, and it was raining a lot, because there's so much money to be made from garage sales. It's ridiculous, and it's so much fun. So hopefully this video was able to add value to you guys. Robert, Eric, I appreciate you all. Smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an amazing day, guys. Thank you.